Morning Grind with Pork Rinds.
Welcome to the show.
And a good morning to you. Right here, it is a Rally Towel Tuesday. We're waving the rally towels here inside our carriage car. About hit myself in the face right there. But hey, man, we appreciate you guys being with us. Dave Garner with you till 11 o'clock this morning right here on the Morning Rant. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. Hey, thanks for being with us. A busy show over the next 60 minutes. I know I always say the same thing every day, and that is there's a lot going on in the world of sports, and indeed there is. Last night, the Atlanta Hawks game, man, what a finish for our Atlanta Hawks. We're going to dive into it here in the next few minutes. We're also going to talk about our Atlanta Braves. Man, they're on a heater as they win another one. Getting the dub last night, the first game in D.C. as they beat the Nationals. A little bit of drama right there, of course, with Ronald Acuna getting plunked, and then Bryce Elder with the retaliation there. And, you know, even the announcers were saying, hey, man, that's how you do it. You know, if you're going to do it respectfully, there's a lot of unwritten rules when it comes to baseball, as we all know. And one of those things is, you know, retaliation after one of your players gets hit. It's kind of a known thing, and there's a certain level of respect in the clubhouse that comes with your pitcher going back out there after one of your guys get plunked, all right, and then going back out and then returning the favor. And that's exactly what happened last night with the Atlanta Braves. So we're going to chop that up a little bit. We're going to talk about some different moments throughout history where we've seen things like that and where, you know, obviously some of the fight, some of the tension happens. But I think for the most part, when you think about baseball, it is the one sport, I would say, where there's more unwritten rules or as many unwritten rules as there are written rules, you know, to a certain extent. There's a certain etiquette. There's a certain way the game is played. For example, you never slide spikes up, right? I mean, you know, that is going to get a fight. You see guys going in hard into second base trying to take out, you know, trying to break up a double play. You're going spikes up, or you're doing something where you're sliding away from the base, or you're sliding completely through the base to the point that you can't keep your hand on the bag. Well, 9 times out of 10, you know, the defender, the shortstop, or whoever's coming over to field that play is going to have a problem with that, right? And we've seen that. We saw the Batista fight that's still a meme to this day, you know, a lot of different things like that. So, again, you know, those situations tend to lend themselves to those bench clearing situations that, you know, some folks like to see, I guess. But, you know, it is the thing about baseball. And we talked about this earlier in the show a couple weeks ago. You know, in hockey, I mean, that sort of thing happens every 10 minutes, right? A fight breaks out. But in baseball, it just doesn't happen that often. So if it happens to the point, all right, where bench is clear and the bullpen comes running in as a mob and they're throwing their gloves and all that stuff and running in, you know, it kind of makes headlines, right? Because those things don't happen very often. So it is one of those fun things. I mean, baseball, though, is a sport of a lot of unwritten rules, and we saw that play out a little bit last night. So we're going to talk about that. Some other things we're going to bring to the show here today, and I'm in here by myself today in our Carriage Kia studio. Typically, my man Billy D would be in here on a Rally Towel Tuesday. He would be waving the towel right next to me because, man, he likes to wave that you know, Sports Pig Rally Towel. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, you're seeing me holding up the Sports Pig. And by the way, if you want one of these Sports Pig Rally Towels, message us on Facebook. Again, the station, the show, very much on social media. Again, the Sports Pig is on Facebook. Our show, The Morning Rant, is on Instagram. You can watch full video episodes of the show daily on YouTube. The podcast version of this show, The Morning Rant, is also available on sportspigradio.com on the website every day. Go to the website, check it out. We have the audio version of the show posted every day. You can also check us out on wherever you listen and download your favorite daily podcast on both Apple and Android platforms. So we're on Spotify, we're on Podbean, we're on a lot of those different platforms there. You can also catch me on Twitter at DaveGarner777, and we appreciate you being with us right here on this Rally Towel Tuesday, presented by your friends at Geiger Legal Group. Once again, Geiger Legal is North Georgia's #1 personal injury attorney. Give them a call and let them tell your story today at 833-HELP-GLG. That's 833-HELP-GLG. Hey, we're going to have our Hang It in the Louvre moment right here. Again, one of our favorite moments from the week in sports. We're also going to have later in the show our normal Tuesday restaurant inspection scores. We're going to run through that, brought to you by your friends at Eat Safe Cherokee. And, of course, we'll have our Now That's What I'm Talking About segment in our final segment here today as we chop up Braves, we chop up Hawks. High school news as well. And we talked about this a little bit yesterday and last week. We're going to run through some of the high school baseball rankings from our area. Now, I said it on day one of this show. All right. I said, hey, this radio station, okay, the Sports Pig, all right, on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com, is not a local radio station. It's not. We stay away from the word local. So we tend to focus a little bit more regionally because here's the thing. Our sister station down the hallway, 101.1 The Pulse, all right, is the largest station basically in North Georgia, right? I mean, a huge signal. It goes way out. And it has a little bit older demographic. It's a country and it's a faith-based. It's, Christian faith, but it's very much the artist that you know. It's the Carrie Underwoods. It's the Jelly Rolls. It's the it's the all the different people, Brooks and Dunn, you name it, Dolly Parton. You'll hear a little bit of everything on there. You'll also hear a little bit of Southern gospel and some other stuff here as well. But that signal is huge, right? And we do play a lot of our Braves games over on that station. And then, of course, you can hear, Georgia football in the fall, UGA football. And by the way, we do have some exciting things, I think, that are going to be coming to that station in addition to what we already have. And that'll be a conversation for another day. But right here on the Sports Pig, what I tell people is, hey, yes, we do have a signal. We're on 98.1. We're on 93.7. We're on 101.1 on the HD2 channel, okay? Of the radio. So you can pick us up on the dial. But this station being a little bit younger demographic, okay, this station having more sports talk, this station having Atlanta Braves baseball, all of your NASCAR Cup races on the weekends, okay, live right here on the Sports Pig. Nowadays, you don't even know where to watch the Braves, all right? Just because you subscribe to Braves Vision does not mean that you're going to get to watch every single Braves game because sometimes the games aren't even on Braves Vision or the platform doesn't even carry all of the Braves Vision games. But this I can tell you, all right? This I can tell you. The Sports Pig is home to pretty much all Braves games for the most part, except for maybe the Sundays where they conflict with the NASCAR race. And then at that point, you can pick them up over on our sister station. So both stations have apps. Both stations have live streams, but the Sports Pig lives more so on the digital and social platform. So what does that mean? Well, what that means is we're not bound by geography. So the Sports Pig technically is not a local station. I mean, we broadcast everywhere. We have people, and I was pulling up the analytics the other day, I mean, we have people that listen outside the country, all right? We have people that listen in all different places, of the Southeast and beyond. We've had some listeners even chime in from the Northeast area. I can only assume that's probably the influence of my man, Big John Davis, who's my co-host a few days a week right here on the program, and he'll be back with us tomorrow, by the way. But we got people listening from Buffalo, New York. Go figure, right? I mean, hey, Bills fans tuning in to hear what Big John has to say. So, again, we really are not bound by geography when we talk about this radio station. So, therefore, we do focus on a lot of different things. But getting back to my original point about high schools, we do have a lot of, quote-unquote, local area, regional high schools that we cover. I added it up one day as far as kind of our coverage area and kind of looking where we go. And I added up, we have somewhere probably just shy of like 50 high schools, I think, that we cover. I mean, when you go back to football season this past year and then you look at what we did for high school basketball, I mean, we had, there was 20 or 30 schools that we were able to kind of touch at some point, throughout the seasons there. But we've got around 40, 45, pretty much safely. We've got a few schools that are kind of on our fringe area, like Heritage Catoosa, for example, that won the girls' state basketball championship. We had their Final Four game against Pickens High School over in Douglasville. They're technically in our listening area. Again, our sister station goes well beyond, Dalton, Ringgold, into that Fort Oglethorpe area. So, again, we do tend to pull a lot of schools in here. So we are going to run down, coming up, we're going to run down some of the high school baseball rankings and take a look at who's doing what and making noise throughout North Georgia. So we truly are a North Georgia station, and you're going to see that over the next coming weeks. I don't want to reveal it just yet, but we do have some different folks that are jumping on board with the program, and we did talk about it a little bit yesterday with Big John. There's a place, for example, called Bradley's Bar and Grill. It's down in Marietta off of Roswell Road. It's in that East Cobb area. We're going to be broadcasting some shows from there live, starting next month. We've got different areas, basically from Marietta north. We already partner with our friends at the Pub in Ellijay. All right. They've got another spot in Blue Ridge. We're going to be broadcasting from there as well. So we're going to move the show around, and we're going to start getting it even more and more on location, taking it to the people, because this is a station of the people. That's right. The Sports Pig on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. We are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia. Hey, this is a Rally Towel Tuesday presented by your friends at Geiger Legal Group. Talking about the Hawks last night. I had totally planned to come in here this morning and rant. The name of this show is the Morning Rant. What good does it do if I don't come in here, okay, every once in a while and rant about something? You can't name a show The Rant and then not rant, right? So we do. We've had some good rants. We've had some epic rants in the first, I'd say just a little over a month. I mean, we started the show right in the beginning of March. And I've got some colorful co-hosts. One who's on vacation this week, by the way, Will Cooper, our Braves insider. So we'll be without Coop this week, but he'll be back with us next week. Big John Davis, obviously a two-time All-American from Georgia Tech. Gilmer High, a graduate here, of course, former Buffalo Bill. And then we have Billy Dowd, who I've known for a long, long time. And by the way, I'm going to let him talk about it on Thursday because Billy will be with us on Thursday. But he won another golf tournament. So, hey, go figure, right? He's got yet another championship belt. But Billy D will be in with us on Thursday, and we're going to talk a lot more about this Atlanta Hawks team. But I fully anticipated coming in this morning and just completely ranting about this Hawks team, not being ready. Where's Jalen Johnson, when you need him? Where's your superstar? When is he going to step up? When are we going to see this Hawks team wake up? They were down 14, I think, at one point. We're down double figures a good bit of the night, 9-10 points, kind of hovering in that first half. And then all of a sudden, last night, late, when it mattered most in that fourth quarter, they go on a, 12-0 run, I think, something like that. New York goes 4 minutes plus without a bucket, and the Hawks close the gap. For those that watched the game last night, I don't have to regurgitate it. You know what happened. But C.J. McCollum stepping up huge. Now, he did miss the 2 free throws there at the end, which makes you a little nervous. But the godsend might have been that he missed the second one, because by missing the second one, he forced New York into a rebound situation under the goal where they didn't really have time to set up a play. Now, a lot of people were saying, hey, they had a timeout to burn. Why did they burn it, and this, that, and the other? But regardless, they get down the court. They put up a shot that essentially would have won the game had they hit it, but it clanks off the front of the rim, and the Hawks win 107-106. They take game 2 of the series last night in New York, in the Garden, in front of their fans. And let me tell you, the folks in New York are off the rails this morning about that. But I had totally anticipated to rant today about the Atlanta Hawks, but instead we are singing their praises as they reached down deep, showed a lot of heart, a lot of character, and that's really what this team is about. So I got to give folks like Billy D their dues. I got to give him credit, man. He's hung in there with the Hawks. They get the dub last night, and we'll talk about it on the other side of the break. Stay with us right here. Again, you're listening to this Rally Towel Tuesday edition of the Morning Rant. I'm your host, Dave Garner, till 11 o'clock this morning right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
When you get hurt from an accident, it can feel like no one is listening to you. The insurance company talks over you. The bills keep coming. It's like the pain and inconvenience doesn't even matter to them. But your story does matter. And here at Geiger Legal, we will make sure your story is heard loud and clear. My name is Casey Geiger, and my firm stands up for people who have been wronged through someone else's negligence. Let us tell your story. Let us get the justice you deserve, and let's start today.
Call Geiger Legal Group at 833-HELP-GLG. That's 833-HELP-GLG, and let us tell your story today.
big opinions of the big games from the big mouths.
Man, I think it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's the Morning Rant on WPGY, the Sports Pig, North Georgia's home for ESPN Radio.
Sit down.
A Rally Towel Tuesday right here inside our Carriage Kia studios. Dave Garner back with you till 11 o'clock this morning. Again, Chuck Oliver coming up later on today. The king of college football with Southern Sports today. You can hear it right here on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. Hey, we were talking before the break about our Atlanta Hawks. Ha-ha! Caw-caw! I guess that's how you do the noise. Billy D does it a lot better than I do, but hey, I took a stab at it last night. C.J. McCollum, 32 points last night, obviously was money late in that ball game. Just a couple quick notes on the Hawks as we turn our attention now to the series coming to Atlanta for the first time. The Hawks, again, have the opportunity now, having split, because really, in any sport, in a 7-game series, the goal is to come away with one road win, right? Because then all of a sudden the advantage shifts to you now. Now you kind of have the home court advantage or home field or what have you, depending on the sport. But you really want to win one of two, in the Garden, and that's exactly what the Hawks did. It kind of reminds me of the Hawks a few years ago with Trae Young when he became the biggest nemesis of the Knicks, by his antics and winning in the way that they did. Trae Young no longer here. Obviously a different Hawks team. I like what I see, but Jalen Johnson is that heir apparent to Trae Young. He is the new superstar in Atlanta. We've got to have him play like it. I know it's a lot of pressure for an inexperienced young guy that hasn't really been on that stage yet. C.J. McCollum really bailed us out last night, but if you're an Atlanta Hawks fan, you got to look at this team and you got to say to yourself, we got to have Jalen Johnson, right, playing at a high level. I think if Johnson's playing his normal game, now the Knicks defense may have had something to do with that. Again, they are a little bit bigger, and I said that coming in. We've talked about that over the last week or two. I wasn't a big fan of the Hawks, size or lack thereof. However, rebounding is about attitude. It's not about height. I mean, you look at Dennis Rodman. You look at Charles Barkley. I mean, those are not the tallest guys on the floor. Barkley was, 6'4"? I mean, but was one of the leading rebounders, of all time because of the attitude, because of the hustle. Dennis Rodman, very much a hustle guy. We've seen that. So, again, this Atlanta Hawks team, I love their hustle. I love their spirit. Man, I love their attitude. I love the way they get after things. But you're still going to have to score, and you're going to have your top player playing his top game night in and night out, especially if you want to win a 7-game series in the NBA playoffs. So, again, a lot about that, but I do like what I'm seeing out of this Atlanta Hawks team. And so hopefully, they can keep it rolling. Last night, again, a very gutsy win on the road in the Garden there as the Hawks take it 107-106. And now the series returns to Atlanta. Again, they'll be here on Thursday, a 7 o'clock start that'll be back over on Amazon Prime. Hey, we were talking a little bit about high school baseball, and I did want to talk a little bit because I do want to bring it a little bit closer to home. And talk about some of the baseball rankings currently through the GHSA. Again, going down kind of all the classifications. I'm kind of doing this on the fly because we do have a lot of schools, and I kind of want to run through them because, again, we don't want to just talk about the things that everyone else is talking about. I mean, you heard before we came on the air this morning, our friends at Unsportsmanlike. Again, we are the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia. Later on today, you'll hear from Rich Eisen. After that, you'll hear from Paul Feinbaum, all right? They're talking about all the things going on in the world of sports. We are, too. Chuck Oliver's very college football-centric. We're going to talk about spring football practice here in a few minutes as well, right here on the Morning Rant as we lead up to the 11 o'clock hour. But I do want to bring it back closer to home for a minute because some of our high school baseball teams have had just phenomenal, and I mean phenomenal, seasons, and I think it's worth talking about. 6A, as we kind of, and I'm going to kind of run down through some of these things right here, but North Paulding right now, currently ranked number 1, 24-5. Again, we kind of work into that area a little bit, but how about Etowah? We talked about Etowah being one of the nation's leading ranked high school baseball teams. They currently sit at 23-7. Now, granted, they've lost 7 games, some of that, though, out-of-state competition and different things like that, but currently sit number 5. You got Carrollton at 6, Lowndes down at South Georgia, number 9, McEachern at 10, Walton at 11 right now. And as you go on down there, Cherokee in the top 20 as well. The Warriors have had an excellent season. They're only a game over 500, but again, very tough non-region slate. Tough out-of-town teams there. Again, but they still crack the top 20 right now in the 6A rankings. You've got Marietta, you got West Forsyth as well, right there in the mix. And then as we work our way down to 5A, now this is where the bulk of a lot of our other Cherokee County schools are. Right now, though, the Pope Greyhounds, East Cobb, 28-2. Are you kidding me? Wow. Man, what a season right there. Let's see here. Going on down, a lot of South Georgia teams actually in 5A right now showing out. Roswell at 18, Milton at 20. Creekview right now just tucked inside the top 25 there as well. Woodstock having a little bit of a down year. The Wolverines ranked 28th. They are 2 games under 500 right now, currently at 14-16. That's very un-Woodstock-like. Sequoia right behind them, a game under 500 as well. River Ridge struggling a little bit, 11-17 on the year, 35th. Working our way down to 4A right now. Let's see what we got here. Cartersville. Oh, go figure. I mean, the Purple Hurricanes have always been good at baseball, right? I mean, those guys right now currently sitting at 6th, right behind Blessed Trinity. Again, Cartersville 23-7 on the year. The Canes having a great year on the diamond, as always. Kell inside the top 15 there as well. Dalton at 20th overall. Again, that is some of the quote-unquote local area high schools there showing out. Let's go down to 3A. Man, oh man, this is where I want to stop for a second. Okay, Troup County number 1 right now at 26-3. But number 2, your Calhoun Yellow Jackets at 25-5 on the season. And then third, and already region champs this year, your Pickens High Dragons. Another outstanding year. They've made the Final Four, I think, the last 2 years in a row, if I'm not mistaken, but they're 27-3. They won the region championship, or basically the series that clinched the region championship over Chestatee the other night. So congratulations to Coach Williams and the Pickens High baseball team. They're getting it done. North Hall also having a great year at 24-6. Cherokee Bluff, Jefferson behind them as well. Adairsville also in the top 20. Northwest Whitfield 20th as well. A couple of our other area teams there. Dawson County just inside the top 30. Let's go down here. Double A. One of the teams I want to talk about, and we're going to have, hopefully later in the week, we're going to have one of the coaches on with us. Again, one of the guys that we want to talk to right here on the program is Coach Jimmy Keene of North Cobb Christian. And right now in Double A, North Cobb Christian currently sitting 3rd in the state in Double A at 26-4. They're behind Morgan County and Pierce County. Pierce County number 1 right now with 3 losses. Morgan County with just 3 losses. North Cobb Christian and Hebron Christian both at 26-4 or 3-4. Holy Innocents number 5. Again, a lot of your private schools making up the Double A bracket right there. Rockmart, a game over 500 right now, 11th. Union County, 17-11. They're having a pretty good year there as well. Sonoraville, Ringgold, just inside the top 20 in the 2A bracket. And then in, let's see here, Division 2 of Single A, looking down through there, again, a lot of South Georgia teams. Yeah, mostly South Georgia there. And then Single A Division 1. Gordon Lee at 28-2 right now is number 2. You got Wesley and Bremen in there. Kingsridge, number 1 right now at 26-3. I was trying to see if there were any other teams there. Trying to look. We got Pepperell there at 21st. So, again, that's a look at your GHSA baseball rankings based on who's hot right now and who's doing what. Congratulations so far on great seasons. Now, there's still plenty more as we get set for the postseason for really a lot of our spring sports. I mean, high school sports, as we know, in Georgia this time of year is baseball. It's soccer. It's track and field. It's golf. It's tennis. All right, so a lot of different sports getting set to get into their postseasons if they haven't already. Some of them already have. And, oh, by the way, spring football practice also cranking up as well for a lot of our area high schools. So again, when we talk about high school sports, it's just spring is like it's a hodgepodge of a lot of different things. Like in the fall, it's football, it's girls softball, volleyball tend to play in the fall. In the winter, it's basically basketball and wrestling. So there's a lot of attention on that. But in the spring, everyone goes their separate ways because some of those guys that played football, basketball, now they go play golf. Some of them end up playing tennis. Some of them end up over on the diamond. So you got different athletes that do different things. And so, again, spring is very spread out. There's a lot of sports going on there, but as the weather gets nice, man, you love to see it. A lot of things going on outdoors. Hey, we were talking earlier, and we're up against our second break. We were talking about some of the Trae Young being a villain for the New York Knicks. I want to ask you guys, and then we'll come back and talk about it. Who is your number one sports villain of all time? Like, who is your Darth Vader? Who is your Thanos of sports, right? And it could have been somebody that maybe everyone else kind of felt the same way about, or maybe you just didn't like him because he played for the rival team. I know in Atlanta you think about guys like, Drew Brees, for example, who, of course, played for the Saints. He's a great guy. It's kind of hard to hate on Drew Brees. But, like, who is your number one sports villain, nemesis of all time? Like, looking back, you think about the Detroit, Motor City Bad Boys with Bill Laimbeer, right? I mean, there's a hateable guy. Everybody hated Bill Laimbeer unless you're a Pistons fan. So when we come back after the break, we're going to talk a little bit about sports villains, and I'm going to bring a couple to you. And there's one on the list that may very well surprise you, okay? So, again, stick around with us right here. We'll be right back. Again, this is the Morning Rant, our Rally Towel Tuesday edition, presented by your friends at Geiger Legal Group. I'm Dave Garner, and this is the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com.
Make your home's air healthier. Green Heating and Cooling can help by installing a Bryant Evolution air purifier just for you. Using Captures and Kills technology, this highly advanced MERV15 filter captures many select airborne pathogens. It also helps improve indoor air quality for both asthma and allergy sufferers by filtering air impurities like dust, pollen, and pet dander. Call to schedule an evaluation. Green Heating and Cooling, your top Bryant authorized dealer, whatever it takes. We bring the heat. You bring the trash talk.
Come on, man. Are you serious?
It's the Morning Rant, live on the Sports Pig app and sportspigradio.com.
Rally Towel Tuesday, right here on the Morning Rant. Dave Garner back with you on a Tuesday morning. Again, Chuck Oliver at the top of the hour with Southern Sports Today, the king of college football. We're going to talk about our own version of spring practice coming up here in a few moments. We did that a little bit yesterday with our man Big John Davis, who had some information and, again, a firsthand experience from the flats as he was down at Georgia Tech over the weekend. Hey, I did want to mention, I forgot to bring this up yesterday, we had a great time on Friday, for those of you that missed it, over in Chatsworth at the Murray County, speaking of high school sports, which we did in the last segment, the Murray County Parade of Champions. It was a lot of fun. Got to hang out with some of the state champions from this past year's Murray County Lady Indians basketball team. But the coolest thing about it was we also got to hang out with some of the members of the previous state championship team from 1965. And how the game has changed, man. I mean, we talked about it. We talking to one of the young ladies there that was like, you know what? I started every game, but I never scored a point. Because back then, they had the defensive players that were dedicated to defense and never crossed, half court. So again, staying in the back end of the defense. So again, there's a lot of cool conversation that we had on Friday. We were lined up, just across the street from the high school there, right next to the football stadium, watching the parade come and go. Had the opportunity, of course, to interview head coach Chris Tipton of the championship Lady Indians basketball program there. Of course, Callan Ledford, the senior moving on to the next level, and excited for her future. Of course, Hadley Dotson also joining us as well, and had some good interviews there on Friday in case you missed it. Hey, a couple of big events coming up. One of those is the John Davis Classic. Again, we talked about it. Big John will be back in here tomorrow as we talk about the NFL Draft coming up on Thursday. Again, round one of the draft Thursday night. It's a primetime special coming to you from Pittsburgh this year, the home of the Steelers, of course, there at, I can't remember the name of that, whatever the name of the stadium is. It's changed about 18 different times. It was Heinz Field, and now it's something else there. But again, the draft on Thursday and then through the weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about that with John Davis. Also, some talk about replacement referees, some strategy. What are the Falcons going to do? They're going to trade down. There's some talks that they may try to do that to build on some of their draft capital in the back end of the draft. So we will chop up, the NFL and a lot more tomorrow with Big John here. But again, June the 3rd, go ahead, mark your calendar, the John Davis Classic benefiting the Georgia Mountains Hospice. Always a great event. I think they're in year 34, I believe is what John said. They're somewhere, well into the 30s now of this golf tournament, which is awesome every year. This year, it's going to be out at Bent Tree in Pickens County. Of course, it's a Bent Tree Resort. It's a great course. I've played it, of course, a number of times over the years. So, again, if you're interested in taking part in the tournament, contact Gina Penley and the folks over at Georgia Mountains Hospice. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, Reinhardt University, and I wanted to throw this out there too. We talked about this a little bit last week. They're having their 38th annual Scholarship Golf Classic. It's going to take place on May the 18th over at the Manor Golf and Country Club over in Milton, Georgia. So over in North Fulton over there, again, is the 38th annual Reinhardt University Scholarship Golf Tournament there. A lot of different sponsorship opportunities, of course, player opportunities. So again, looking forward to raising some good money on May the 18th, which is coming up here in the next few weeks. So again, that time of year, man, golf tournaments, are hot and heavy as the spring calendars start to fill up right there. So before the break, we were talking about sports villains, and I kind of wanted to come back to that for just a moment. And we were talking about some different, ones, and maybe you've had a couple minutes now to think about it. We talked about Trae Young and how people in New York still blame Trae Young for things, that, hey, it's raining today. That's because Trae Young, like there's an ongoing joke about that. Well, Trae Young, of course, is no longer with the Hawks, but growing up, my wife, for example, huge Kentucky basketball fan. So her most hated player probably of all time is, guess who? Christian Laettner, right? I mean, the former Duke Blue Devil. I mean, everybody hated Christian Laettner, and it was one of those things that even carried over into his pro career to the fact that even today, Kentucky Wildcat fans sitting courtside have T-shirts that say, I hate Christian Laettner. Oh, man, it's kind of funny. So here's mine. Here's one of the ones, and I wouldn't say that I hate the guy or anything like that, but I would say that my biggest nemesis is someone that a lot of you out there would paint as your number one hero, and that's none other than Michael Jordan. So let me explain. All right, so again, oh yeah, right. Look, there is no denying, okay, no shred, no part of my fabric or inner being that thinks that Michael Jordan is not the best basketball player of all time, or at least the top 2 or 3 player. Certainly, I think that's not even debatable. I mean, he's certainly a top. You would think. Some people may want to debate that, but there's no denying the greatness and the competitive spirit of MJ. All right, but the thing that I always thought about Michael Jordan to a certain extent was, at times, to me, he was very classless. I mean, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I mean, there was an element there that I felt like was lacking. Now, a lot of people will say, well, that was just his competitive nature. I'm not buying that. I think Michael Jordan gets a pass because he's Michael Jordan. But I can't tell you the number of times, think about this growing up, where he's out there and the Bulls are beating people by, 30 and 40 points, and he's out there joking around, and he's out there and just goofing off with Scotty and the gang, and hey, he's trying to joke, with the other players at the free throw line, and, he's like sitting there talking to them, and they, you're getting beat by 30, 40 points. You don't want to have none of that. And he's looking at people like, man, come on, man, it's basketball. We're having fun, and man, why you? Well, it was always fun when he was winning. It was always fun when the Bulls were beating people by 40 and 50 points a night. But anytime MJ was on the other side of that coin, it was never that way. And we all know that. So, again, it was one of those things where there were times where, the other guys would try to talk and joke with him, and he would have none of it. I mean, he wouldn't even shake your hand. And then the thing that put it over the top for me was the whole, speaking of Christian Laettner, when he was with the Atlanta Hawks, missed what would have been a game-winning shot one time. And I was actually at that game, believe it or not, where Michael Jordan put his hands around his throat and did the whole choke, run up down the court to the Atlanta fans. And I'm like, look, I mean, what in the Sean Payton is going on here? I mean, my goodness gracious. So, I think you win with grace. I think you lose with grace. You don't have to be happy about losing. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is have a little bit of class about you. And so I always kind of felt like that MJ lacked a little bit of class. And, again, I'm sure I'm in the minority, man. Pile on. Send me a message on social media, man. I don't care. I want to hear from you. All right? But to me, MJ was always one of the biggest nemesis to me. So, again, that's kind of how I felt. I felt like there were a lot of kind of classless moments sometimes, in his career and different things. He's not a guy that reaches out to, other players when it comes to, breaking records and things like that. Somebody breaks his record, he's not going to, go on and congratulate them or this, that, and the other. It's just kind of like, man, I don't want my records to be broken. Most guys are going to show some class. They're going to reach out to that player, and they're going to say, hey, man, congratulations on breaking my record. Michael Jordan doesn't seem to do that. It doesn't have a history of that very much. So, again, that's my point. That's my only point right there, is that, I know there's a lot of people that love MJ, and I'm not hating on MJ. I'm not denying that he's one of, if not the greatest of all time. All I'm saying is I think there were definitely moments in his career where he could have handled himself a little bit differently. And I think you can say that for a lot of players, right? I mean, I totally get it. But at the same time, to me, that was one of my, I guess, most hated, biggest sports villains of all time was Michael Jordan. He was, to me, what Trae Young was a few years ago to the New York Knicks. Hopefully, that new villain for New York will be Jalen Johnson or C.J. McCollum, or Kuminga, or a number of Atlanta Hawks players as the series shifts back to Atlanta on Thursday. Hey, speaking of, we haven't talked a lot about hockey. Maybe we'll do this tomorrow with Big John because he's really following those Buffalo Sabres. What a comeback they had the other night. But, man, NHL playoffs also getting cranked up and a lot of great moments already. Overtime games, taking place. Last night we saw the Carolina, Hurricanes going at it there. They had a goal taken away in overtime, saying they were offside. So they thought they won, then they didn't. But then they came back. They got the game winner anyway. They beat Ottawa 3-2, and now Carolina leads that series 2-0. But we were talking about the fanaticism of the Buffalo Sabre fans, and there's the videos out there. I don't know if you've seen them of people, tackling, these Boston Bruin dummies. They're dressed up like the Boston Bruin players, and Sabres are just having fun with it. I mean, it's the Bills Mafia just in Sabre jerseys, right? I mean, that's just the fanaticism, of course, that comes along, with it. So, again, NBA and NHL playoffs alive and well. And, man, there's just a lot of things going on right here. Hey, right now, let's talk a little food for you.
Time for this week's restaurant inspection.
Oh, it smells so good in here.
On the Morning Rant.
All right, so we're up against our final break right here, so we'll make it quick. But this is a weekly feature that we do right here on the Morning Rant, our Tuesday restaurant inspection scores brought to you by our friends at Eat Safe Cherokee. A lot of, there's a few hundreds. Parada's Pizza off of Reinhardt College Parkway, Firehouse Subs in Holly Springs Parkway in Canton, Bridge Mill. The Bridge Mill Halfway House there, 98. La Cantrina Tacos and Margaritas, 97 there in Canton. Little Caesars posted a 95 there. The lowest score this week was a 72. Not necessarily a restaurant. It's kind of a more, and I'm not going to mention it, but more of a non-traditional type of thing. It's not a school. All the schools, again, are doing really well in Cherokee County. But again, for the most part, all the scores are good. You don't have those, 55s or 60s or anything this week. So, again, that's the last recap there from Eat Safe Cherokee. And by the way, again, all these scores come directly from the Georgia Department of Public Health. You can look them up. But again, our friends at Eat Safe Cherokee, they're on Facebook. They also have an Eat Safe Cobb. They have Eat Safe in other areas as well. So if you're one of those people that bases your, restaurant choices on restaurant scores, and it's like, oh, I need to stay away from there, they got a whatever. Or, it's like, hey, man, they got 100, they got a 95, let's go there. You can look them up. They're made readily available, but our friends at Eat Safe Cherokee make them real easy because you can look up their weekly reports, and then they have a lot of individual ones as well that are listed right on Facebook at Eat Safe Cherokee. Appreciate you guys being with us right here. Hey, we are up against our final break right here of the program. My, how time flies when you're having fun. We haven't even gotten to spring football practice yet, but we'll do it on the other side of the break. Again, you're listening to this Rally Towel Tuesday edition of the Morning Rant, brought to you by your friends at Geiger Legal Group on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia, on the Sports Pig app, and online at sportspigradio.com.
Financial scams are on the rise, and with AI, they're getting more and more sophisticated every day. If someone pressures you to act quickly, ask for secrecy, or request payment through gift cards, wire transfers, or cryptocurrency, stop. Legitimate financial professionals don't rush you or demand unusual payment methods. Before you send money or share personal information, slow down and verify. Protect your future. When in doubt, ask questions.
If you're suspicious of a scam, call the team at Foundation Wealth today at 706-278-0214.
Time to hang it in the Louvre.
Oh, this looks nice.
Our favorite moments from the week in sports here on the Morning Rant.
All right, so again, the final segment of the Rally Towel Tuesday program here today, again, presented by your friends at Geiger Legal Group. Dave Garner with you till 11 o'clock. Chuck Oliver coming up here in, about 15 minutes right now. So this is going to be a rapid-fire final segment. We're going to try to touch on a lot of things because we spend a lot of time talking about other things. So we're going to try to bounce around here a little bit. And I do want to talk. We haven't even gotten to our Atlanta Braves talk yet. There's so many other things to get to here in this final, segment. But again, the Braves coming off the sweep of the Phillies, carry the momentum over last night in Washington against the Nationals. And, they were talking a little bit about it in the pregame yesterday. Man, I appreciate what Walt Weiss is doing. I want to say last night they had Yaz batting ninth. 11 different lineups, 11 or 12 different variations of lineups for the Atlanta Braves here in just really the first few weeks of the season. So still tinkering with a lot of things. Meanwhile, speaking of 11, the New York Mets, what a joke. 11 losses in a row. Last night, they eclipsed 11, and everybody's joking around about, different things that have caused that. I'm not going to get political, but you can go online and look all that up. But again, as many lineups as the Braves have tinkered with this year, the Mets have lost that many games in a row. I just thought that was kind of funny. We were talking about Acuna getting plunked last night. He appears to be okay. I think the x-rays were negative. But nonetheless, Bryce Elder retaliates last night as well. But a good night for the Atlanta Braves as once again they pound out 9 runs. Again, they got a long ball from Matt Olson, who went deep to tie the game earlier after the Braves had fallen down early there. Bryce Elder, though, 6 2/3, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 strikeouts. Aaron Bummer came in relief. Did a nice job there, didn't give up a run. So all in all, a really good night for the Atlanta Braves as they continue to keep their foot on the gas. Again, Acuna did leave the game last night after being hit by that pitch for the second time, and then in the bottom of the inning, Bryce Elder plunked C.J. Abrams right in the buttocks there, basically, to retaliate. And I think even Abrams knew that it was coming and kind of just walked on down to first there. But again, that's a part of it right there. As the Atlanta Braves get another dub, they'll keep the series again going tonight. We were talking a little bit about NASCAR. And, again, we talked a little bit about the standings yesterday there. Kudos, though. Tyler Reddick, man, is just absolutely running away with it. I mean, he's 105 points better right now than Denny Hamlin, who's currently sitting second in the standings right in front of Ryan Blaney. But Tyler Reddick, man, 5 wins already on the year. No other driver, has had more than one. Tyler Reddick, really the only repeat winner so far, and man, he's just absolutely tearing up the standings right now. Again, speaking of Michael Jordan, I sat here and just trashed MJ a little bit, but that Michael Jordan team, he's a competitor, man. He and Denny Hamlin, of course, co-own the team there. Tyler Reddick, Bubba Wallace, and those guys. And then we also talked a little bit yesterday about our local boy here in Talking Rock, Chandler Smith, currently still leading the Craftsman Truck Series standings. We do have a new dirt track racing show coming to the Sports Pig. And I'm going to get a few more details, and we'll share that later in the week. But be listening on Monday and Thursday evenings before Braves games. Also on Saturday as well. We're looking forward to bringing you a little bit of dirt track racing, because when you think about where we're at and where we're located here in North Georgia, the history of not just stock car racing, but dirt track racing. You've got Sugar Creek in Blue Ridge. You've got the Dixie Speedway down in Woodstock. You've got several different tracks that stand out in North Georgia on any given week. And, that's what it's all about. Now, Steven hosts it. And he will have some information as well on NASCAR, because he's worked with NASCAR as well, and some of the smaller series as well that feed in, of course. And the thing I love about the dirt tracks is that, and I know like historically at the Dixie, because I grew up at the Dixie Speedway. Went with my dad a lot over the years. And I remember the times where, when the big, in the Cup Series, when NASCAR, it was, of course, Winston Cup back then, would come to Atlanta. Some of those guys the night before would moonlight at the Dixie. You would see Bill Elliott. You would show up. Later years, you would see a guy like Tony Stewart, who was a notorious, outlaw series, had an outlaw car. The Kyle Bushes of the world, that still get booed. But those guys are notorious for showing up at some of those small dirt tracks out of nowhere. And man, talk about getting your money's worth. How awesome is that when you show up? And back in the day, Dale Earnhardt even drove at the Dixie. There's a famous picture of the Swims family that they have with Dale Earnhardt and Bill Elliott, together. And I remember talking to Mr. Mickey years ago after Dale Earnhardt, Senior passed away, and kind of interviewed him, when I was working in TV back then, years ago, of course, about that whole situation and what it meant, because he had the opportunity, of course, to meet Dale and so forth. And so, again, a lot of history and tradition when you talk about racing in our local area. And so we're glad to kind of bring it to you a little bit here on I keep saying local, but a little bit more closer to home level, certainly, when it comes to dirt track racing. So, again, NASCAR alive and well. Who watched WrestleMania? Anybody watch WrestleMania over the weekend there? I think the biggest takeaway from that was Brock Lesnar hanging it up, man. Taking off the shoes there after his loss to Obafemi, kind of a passing of the torch between the big guys in the sport. Now we're talking about it because, hey, this show is sports and entertainment. So, again, WrestleMania wrapping up over in Vegas. Big crowds both days there. Cody Rhodes defending his title against Randy Orton on Saturday night in the main event. And then, of course, the main event on Sunday saw Roman Reigns recapture the title as he defeated CM Punk. But the big matchup there was early in the night on Sunday. Brock Lesnar, as we talked about, presumably retiring. He took off his shoes and gloves, at the end of the match, laid him in the middle of the ring. That's what AJ Styles did a few weeks back as he retired as well. Those guys probably going to be pulled into the creative side, and who knows? I'm sure they're still going to be kind of written into the storyline here or there, but nonetheless, a lot of things going on right there as far as WrestleMania, which, I grew up, I think it was like I want to say it was WrestleMania 3, and we talked about it, where, Hulk Hogan picked up Andre the Giant, slammed him, one of the most popular moments in all of professional wrestling. And I know we talk a lot about it here in the office, the different folks, and we've had a lot of different wrestling promotions taking place in the area. Our man Phil Quarles, who runs one of our advertisers, is Janine's She Sheds, which you've probably heard right here on the Sports Pig if you've listened enough. And again, he's a wrestling promoter, though, too. He has ties to wrestling from the past. Our guy as well, Wes Odell, that runs J&W Sports over in Chatsworth. He was part of some wrestling promotions years ago. And so those guys know wrestling, and so it's fun to be able to chop it up with them. But there are some different promotions coming up in the next, couple months or so, particularly over in the Dalton, Georgia area. And we'll talk about this right here on the show. But, the Freebirds, Tommy Wildfire Rich, you name it. We've had different sets of wrestlers call in here to the station, and of course to our sister station, 101.1 The Pulse. So again, we always like to talk about wrestling because, hey, it's fun. You know what I mean? So there you go. But again, we appreciate you guys being with us. Hey, let's spend the rest of the time that we have here. We got about 5 minutes left, and I do want to talk about spring football practice as we kind of lead in to Chuck Oliver. He is the king of college football in the Southeast. He has a show, Southern Sports Today, that you can hear right here that starts in about 5 minutes, okay? And Chuck's going to break down. I mean, that's what they do. They talk college football year-round. And you might ask yourself, well, what in the world can you talk about football in April? And you know, I mean, what are you talking about? Obviously, we just came out of spring football practice, but football really is year-round. We got the NFL draft 2 days from now, right? So, I mean, there's always football. And you know, for sports talk fans, it is one of those ongoing conversations that we carry around year-round as well. I can't wait until we get back in to late summer when camps start opening. And I'm not just talking about college and pro. I'm talking high school. I mean, you guys know, if any of you guys out there listening have paid attention to anything that we've done here over the last, say, a couple months, you know that we do high school football, you know, on the air right here Friday nights. So we're very plugged in there. And I can't wait to start chopping up. We're going to have some really busy shows when we get on the other side of spring season going into summer as we get set for summer camp. But we did talk a little bit about spring practice yesterday with our man John Davis, particularly Georgia Tech. And I know that, again, we were talking about, you know, the Jackets, and it does, you know, very much look like Alberto Mendoza has, you know, kind of solidified and at least established himself as the favorite to start at quarterback, you know, for the Jackets next season. The transfer from Indiana, of course, the younger brother of presumed first-round pick this year, Fernando Mendoza, of course, who won the Heisman, national championship, and all that. But Mendoza was named offensive captain for the spring game, and he didn't disappoint. You know, he was 12 of 16 for, you know, 148 yards and a touchdown, you know, in limited work. I mean, you got to like what you see there. I know there's a lot of Jacket fans that hope that, you know, the younger Mendoza can replicate, you know, or at least duplicate some of the magic that Fernando brought to Indiana this past year. But looking forward to seeing what Tech does this year. The red and black game also wrapping up over in Athens. Of course, unfortunately, the big news out of Athens over the weekend was the whole Zachariah Branch arrest, you know, the sidewalk, that whole deal. I'm not going to belabor the point. You guys can look it up. But as far as, you know, what happened over the weekend with the spring game, again, the red team defeating the black team there 27-17. Gunnar Stockton, though, leading the offense, 76 yards passing. Dwight Phillips and Dante Daddle scored touchdowns in the run game, featuring, you know, 700 combined yards. So there's a lot of offense out of Georgia, out of both teams on Saturday. As we talked about, Stockton was 7 of 12 for 76 and a touchdown. You know, limited time, obviously. 7 different QBs took the field for the Dogs over the weekend. Ryan Puglisi, of course, was 8 of 19 for 86 yards. So not, you know, earth-shattering numbers, certainly by Puglisi, who's the, you know, projected backup, certainly, to Gunnar. But nonetheless, still, you know, some pretty good numbers there. Dwight Phillips Jr. really impressed on the ground, it looked like, with a touchdown there. We talked about Daddle also finding the end zone. Nate Frazier started but left the game with an apparent ankle injury. So, you know, if you're a Dog fan, you're thankful it's April. I mean, right? You know, you got some time there. Defensively, you know, they gave up 385 yards, the black team did to the red team. But again, they did generate some pressure right there. The black team totaled 315 yards. The biggest thing, though, again, we saw, you know, we're talking about some of the injuries and the Auburn transfer, and the kid escapes my name, Williams, I believe, off the top of my head. You hate to see that. ACL, he's gone. Some other injuries that came out of the red and black game from the weekend. Isaiah Canyon, the wide receiver, and also defensive lineman Jordan Hall, cornerback Ellis Robinson. They were, you know, kind of banged up a little bit there. But again, you know, it's one of those things where you got time and you want to get out there. You want to get some contact going. A lot of people put a lot of emphasis into spring. But again, we'll know now as we get closer to fall season what it all means and how it all looks like. And we're going to continue that conversation tomorrow right here on the Morning Rant. with our man Big John Davis. He'll be back in here with us tomorrow. We're already out of time today, man. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you for joining us. Rally Towel Tuesday presented by your friends at Geiger Legal Group. I'm Dave Garner. As always, we end every day by saying, if you don't know, you better ask somebody. We'll see you tomorrow morning right here on the Morning Rant. Visit us on social media right here on the home of ESPN Radio in North Georgia on the Sports Pig app and online at sportspigradio.com. Chuck Oliver's up next.
98.1 and 93.7 The Sports Pig, where hot takes meet hot mics.